have an amazing topic today. Today is an overview of what pitch night in software looks like. So today we are being introduced by a couple of amazing panelists, um, and we're going to talk about what is pitch night, how you get yourself involved, and how can I be part of this. And if you have any questions, we're going to have a Q&A, but we welcome you. And let us know where you're from. If you're from Miami, put in the chat group, and we'll love to know where you're hearing us from. All right, so I want to first introduce our first guest. We have Erica Gemma. She is the CEO of the Blockchain Center here in Miami. She's a wonderful guest because she's going to talk about how you could get involved in the Blockchain Center as part of doing the pitch night. We also have Rosetta Miranda from the Founder Institute. She's also going to talk about how she's going to how you could get involved in the pitch night with the Founder Institute. We also have joining us Pedro Sotre from WeWork Labs in Miami downtown. He's going to talk a little bit more what he sees and what couple of the challenges there are for pitch nights, and of course James Irvin. He's also going to be talking about pitch night at the Founder Institute. So welcome everybody here. I'm so excited to talk about all the exciting news and within startups and how we can build the community together and how we can all grow some of the stuff. So I want to first have and pass the panel to Erica. Erica, can you tell me what does the Blockchain Center envision pitch nights and within the Blockchain Center? How can people get involved? And tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so for pitch nights here at the Blockchain Center, we, like almost everyone on this call, is really interested in growing Miami's ecosystem. We see Miami to be just this gem of a place where right now it's kind of hard to connect, founders of good companies to investment capital. But we all know Miami is not lacking on the money, whether they buy it on credit or not. Definitely there's money here, and we want to. Can you hear? Okay. We just want to make sure that people can access capital. So for us, the Blockchain Center, we are part of Moshe Mana's big vision to make Miami a millennial tech hub. And for us, we really believe that the technology that's going to grow, and statistically it shows that technology that's going to grow over the years is going to be blockchain technology exponentially. I think it's like a 33 times increase over the next 5 years is what they're estimating in terms of money into the blockchain industry. So for us, pitch nights, we do have a lot of international investors that are looking at the companies that we send them, because international investors and hedge funds are interested in blockchain technology. So future pitch nights, once the world opens back up, will be hopefully well attended, and we really want to encourage startups to come out and speak.
Fantastic. Can you tell a little bit more about the Blockchain Center in Miami? Like, where is it located, and how can I get involved?
Yeah, sure. So Blockchain Center in Miami, or sometimes we're the Bitcoin Center, depends on what we're talking about. Blockchain is the technology that underpins Bitcoin. Bitcoin invented blockchain. And I would say if you want to get involved, the first thing that we really like to do here is we're an educational hub, right? So there are many companies that are interested in blockchain and Bitcoin and the crypto sphere, and they really see this as the next economy. And for us, with almost every industry, the big problem is just the barrier to entry, which is education, right? People don't know what this is. They're afraid to step into it. But for us, it's like, how can we expand the user base of people that know what blockchain is? So previously, I would say, come to us in person. We're on Flagler Street in the Wells Fargo building. But now if you do, it'd probably be illegal, whatever, unfortunately. But it's really great, actually. I wish I could show you right now. We're probably breaking social distancing laws. I hope that nobody hears this, but there's definitely more than the allotted amount of people here that are supposed to be here, but it's fine. But I think that the way that you would get involved is go to blockchaincenter.com, sign up for our mailing list. Right now, what we're doing is a live stream almost every single day to where we're teaching different topics like trading Tuesdays, we teach people how to trade. Wednesdays, we talk about development. Right now, we're teaching people how to make smart contracts. Mondays, we do Crypto Mondays where we interview different companies in the crypto space. So just a lot of, right now is the time to learn. And so the best way, get on our mailing list. We'll send you our upcoming events. And yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm going to go over now to the Founder Institute. Roxette, why don't you tell me a little bit more about what is the Founder Institute?
Sure. Well, thank you guys for doing this, Scarlett and Erica, for hosting this. I appreciate it. So Founder Institute is a pre-seed accelerator program. We run over 167 cities, and it's primarily for startups that are tech-enabled. So we focus on tech-enabled startups who are going to be looking to start and change the world. We don't look at consulting and brick and mortar. It's a 14-week program that essentially sets up these founders to do their full MVP and then get them straight into fundraising. We have something called the Funding Lab in Founder Institute. So we actually have continuous support. And the way that we do this is through localized directors and mentors. So right now, because of COVID, we had this amazing opportunity to actually take our classes virtually. So we used to host the Founder Institute South Florida chapter out of CIC every Tuesday, but now we're actually doing it virtually and expanding it to the South Florida chapter. So we're going to be targeting Tampa, Orlando, and expanding. So now our reach is a lot bigger. So we're very excited about that.
No, thank you so much. And can you tell me, in your experience, walk me through a little bit about what is it like to be a pitch night within the Founder Institute?
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to cross it over to James because we started Pitch Night MIA because of his flagship of Pitch Night NYC. So I'm going to let him answer and tell you a little bit more about Pitch Night NYC and MIA.
Yeah, sure. So as Roxy said, we have sort of a two-pronged approach. We have the organization that I started, which is the Pitch Night in various cities. So Pitch Night MIA is a standalone pitch competition that we run every month. Obviously not now, but four startups will compete. One will be picked a winner. We bring in 3 judges usually who are successful entrepreneurs and investors and an audience. And it really is just a way to gain exposure. And like Erica said earlier, help get some access to capital, exposure, meet, network, and have some fun with it. We also tie that in when that Founder Institute program is running. The last event we were actually going to do with Pedro. And the day that really COVID imploded Miami was when we had the pitch night set up at Pedro's space at WeWork Labs, which was in conjunction with the Founder Institute as well. That being said, for Founder Institute, they are running some events virtually. So if you guys want to get involved with those, you could just go to fi.co and there's plenty of information you can poke around the website. But really, they're just casual ways to get your word out there and get some practice in a safe environment. That's really the idea behind it. So you don't go into more serious investor meetings, completely blind.
Yep. And right now what they're doing is they're partnering. So the last pitch night that they had through FI was actually in conjunction with NASA. So it was a space tech pitch night. So you're going to see through fi.co's website, they're going to be catered to different industries like telehealth, space, or anything that's currently relevant. So Definitely check it out.
All right. Can you tell me one more time the website?
Sure. It's just fi.co.
Mm-hmm.
fi.co. I could drop it in the chat.
Yes.
It goes to everybody.
Well, thank you so much. So you heard it. If you want to learn more, you're welcome to check out the Founder Institute and how to get yourself involved as well. So I want to move on to our last speaker. We're going to go over some of the information. 1 second.
No worries. Are you, because your dog's barking? Hey, hello. I didn't know that you ran the WeWork Labs. How is that going now that you have COVID?
Sure. It's fun. It's fun. I mean, obviously we did the same thing. Yeah, we were pretty bummed about the pitch night not working out with you guys at FI. But everything's gone virtual. The nice thing, similarly to FI, it's, we don't just have the Miami labs. We're plugged into a bigger network like you guys as well. So we have a lot of global programming that's virtual, that's coming through, whether it's from New York, whether it's from California, whether it's from Europe. We do get a lot of virtual benefits. And so the groups have been, I think kind of everyone, maybe similarly, was just in shock for like the first couple of weeks, like in surprise that this was happening. But pretty quickly, I think in general, like founders are pretty resilient. And so there was a moment where it was like, okay, this is where we are now, and what do we need to do? How do we change? What do we need to tweak our projections, our plans, and how do we move forward? So now it's been a lot of virtual one-on-ones. It's been a lot of connecting with mentors globally, and that's where we've been for the last I don't know, what is it, 7 weeks now?
Yep.
Just about.
So did anybody from your companies, guys, take up that offer for like, I think it was like 6 months of letting someone live in your house for free? He would help you. You know what I'm talking about. I don't remember his name right now. He was like no? Okay. Never mind.
No idea.
No, definitely. Yeah, I just want to quickly introduce Pedro. How can tell us a little bit more about WeWork Labs? How can people get involved?
Yeah, WeWork Labs is WeWork's initiative for early stage companies, early stage startups. Similar to FI, we typically don't work with like service-based companies, but it's generally scalable startups. So for us, it's early stage. Early stage means anywhere from ideation to pre-Series A. So it's a pretty big group. Within that, we have companies that are still within the ideation phase, and we have companies that are just beyond ideation, but like launching a product and getting validation. And then we have companies that have already raised, a few $100,000 and they're, in that growth phase. So it's a big group, but everybody is pre-Series A. So you still struggle with the same issues of capitalization and validation and product market fit. And even just, in terms of ideation, is your idea big enough or scalable enough to actually get to where you want it to go? So the goal ultimately is to put together a community that is about 55 companies in one floor. So right now we're in the downtown building in WeWork, obviously. And so the 11th floor in that building is all early stage startup companies. So we all know each other. Part of the commitment of being part of the program is you agree to come to at least like 3 events per month. And it's sort of, in the beginning, it's like, I think a little bit of a forcing, but it's really just setting expectations that you're expected to be part of this community. So it's not just like you're here to get the other benefit of being part of Labs, which is like resources that come with being part of WeWork. We like to say, like in a cutesy way, I didn't make this up, but it's like the resources, the reach, and the relationships. So through WeWork, you get introductions to whether business development or capital. Some companies have gotten access to like work with WeWork's PR. But again, all of this is really based on individual companies. So it's not like somebody joins and right away they're going to get plugged into this big network. It's based on phases, right? And where you are. So we don't do introductions to investors unless the company is ready to meet that investor. But we do prepare you. So part of it is, assessing where you are, what stage the company is in, and then who do you need to talk to? What do you need to do? What steps you need to take to kind of go through those steps? And a lot of that is what we do kind of on the one-to-one basis, which now has been virtual. Somebody asked in the chat, how do they join? So it is a little bit of an application process. You can go to weworklabs.com and you can see us on there and apply through there, or you can reach out to me directly. I don't know if you can share my information, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. It's a little bit of an application process, but we don't consider ourselves an accelerator in the sense that you don't have to have a certain amount of revenue to qualify to be part of labs. You don't have to show us a certain amount of traction. We're not going to take a percentage of your company. And downside of that is we don't directly give you capital. So it is nice because it's you can get in without. Some organizations, like, to get in, you've got to show $5,000 or $20,000 in monthly recurring revenue, and we don't have that requirement. But we do help and coach. And our goal, I think, like everybody here, and like Erica said earlier, is really to build up the ecosystem. I'm an entrepreneur first, in Miami, and this is not a surprise to WeWork. WeWork hires labs managers that are entrepreneurs first. So I've been in Miami 30 years. I had companies here for 18 of those years. And my goal when I joined, which I was very clear about, is how do we help with bringing Miami to that next step, And I think it's only through the collaboration, like what we have going on here, that we can make that happen. And if I can, help plug in WeWork and the resources that WeWork has to help that, accelerate that growth, that's my goal.
We'll take WeWork's money.
Absolutely.
Tell your CEO, I'll give him my bank account.
Yeah, 12 months ago, that might have been a lot easier to ask. But
actually, that's a good a pivot point, because as COVID-19, the world has shifted and there's a lot of questions. Erica, can you tell me what can the Blockchain Center do to encourage people who are doing pitch night? What are the procedures during this new era of COVID-19 to get themselves involved and to get ready for those investors this year and even 2030?
Yeah, for pitch night, I would say be less nervous. It's actually much easier to talk to people. Like, as a person who is always talking in front of people, doing it on the computer and having like your notes, and I can look at my notes like without anybody knowing that I'm looking at my notes, is much easier. So change your format of how you're presenting. And then also, right now, people are bored. Like, LinkedIn is popping. So I would say get on there, talk to people. They're going to respond to you much quicker now than they would have before. And then if you are pitching, it's the hot thing right now to pitch something that would be helpful in this new economy. So I'm seeing all sorts of products being marketed before that might have been on the market, but they're not getting widely known until now. Like, for example, like a key that will press buttons for you so you don't have to use your fingers, and then it's antimicrobial. So just a lot of weird stuff. So if you are somebody who's creating a product or a company, make sure you address it to the certain issues that we have. Now here at the Blockchain Center, some stuff that we're doing to make ourselves just like support the whole COVID-19 is we normally have miners running in the center, just mining the algorithm to try and maybe get some Bitcoin and support the Bitcoin ecosystem. But we've actually pointed them all towards research for COVID-19, trying to find the cure or the vaccine for it. But yeah, if you're a company that is looking to pitch to investors at this time, the hot thing is stuff that can help with future pandemics.
Okay, fantastic. I actually have one question from the audience for you, Erica. What is the minimal age for a serious young entrepreneur?
Oh, there's no minimum age. Definitely no minimum age at all. Honestly, like, I feel like and this is just my personal view, but I feel like a lot of us, if we were not shoved into government schools for 12 years, they told us what to do. Afterwards, now we're paying them to tell us what to do in higher education. Those are a lot of years where where people, like, they're really smart, they're really organized, and they actually are entrepreneurial. But because, there's a rule, after 10,000 hours of something, you're an expert at it. After 10,000 hours of you being told how to do your homework, what it's supposed to look like, almost the entrepreneurial spirit gets beat out of you. So start while you're young, before you have all these constraints on how it should work. I mean, some of the worst people to work with, honestly, are people who have been in corporations, these huge, like, big name corporations that everyone loves to put on their resume. Those are some of the worst people to work with, because they're so beat down with bureaucracy that they're not innovative anymore. So young people, I love dealing with young people and like just seeing their spirit and their drive, and it's almost like they haven't been broken yet. So if you're a young person and you have a great idea, like, you most likely live with your parents, your overhead is low, you don't have to pay for rent. So go for it now and use this time that we have off or quarantine Like, this is the time where you're going to see either people just chill and be lazy, or you're going to see the real entrepreneurs use this time where they're not required to go anywhere to the best of their ability. And if you're young, you know, that's extended because you live with your parents, hopefully.
No, that's amazing advice. And I hope they're in the audience, if you're a young entrepreneur, you know, this is a great opportunity. Definitely take advantage of the fact that you have access to a computer. You're welcome to reach out to any of our panelists. I have a couple more questions. This is for James. So can you describe what's a good and bad pitch night presentation?
Sure. So a good presentation, it depends on the time constraints, but generally in the 3 to 8 minute pitch, which is kind of your most common format, you really need to address 5 things, right? You need to address the problem, the solution, your team, and then your kind of go-to-market sales business strategy, right? So if you could touch on those 5 things very clearly and concisely, you've overall had a good pitch. One of the biggest hangups I see is people spend most of their time talking about the product. You know, everybody out there is working on these amazing products that are they're really, really passionate about, and rightfully so. They've put a lot of thought and effort and everything into it. And, you know, that passion really comes through in the pitch. But if you spend most of your time talking about product details, people get lost in that because they don't understand that product as well as you do. So really, you need to speak to a general audience, assuming that they don't know your industry and your product, and really talk about the problems that you're solving, how you're going to do it. And that will be a much more well-received pitch.
No, that's amazing advice. I like to remind our audience who are watching, you're welcome to ask any questions you're on the chat group, and we'll gladly answer them as well. So also, this was for Rosette. I wanted to know a little bit in terms of women entrepreneurships. What kind of sound advice can you give them when they're presenting on pitch nights?
Well, for one,
I'm going to duck off screen for one moment. Continue.
Well, for one advice that I'd give is women are strong. Don't forget that. Just go on site and present your pitch. What I've seen in pitch nights previously is it tends to be a bit male dominant. Sometimes like the audience, even our judges, it's hard to get a balance. So there's still some, even today, some animosity towards women, shockingly. But what I've seen from the strong pitches is they don't let that affect them. So even with the gender biases out there, they use it to their advantage. So always remember there might be some gender biases still going on even today, and kind of playing to that and using it to your advantage still helps. So that's one advice, just because I've seen that. The second is just presentation. You know, be confident with your pitch. That's kind of it with the pitches.
I'd like to say something too, just on that topic, because I mean, you're completely right, Roxy. It's like there are people that let it get to them. So, I mean, and I'm not even just going to say women. There are people that let the fear get to them, and then therefore they don't operate at the full capacity that they're able to. And so coming into a situation thinking that, oh no, this person's not going to like me because I'm a woman, it automatically sets you at a disadvantage. And so what's important, and I actually just tweeted about this, is like, you know, there are people who do criticize other people and they do put them down. And a lot of times women, because of the mindset that we're told, we think that they put us down because we're women, when it's like, no, in actuality, it's that person who just criticizes everyone, not just me because I'm a woman. And so going into a situation and knowing that, like, you know, in every single industry, there are unique roles that need to be filled. And sometimes it is out of the mind of a woman that it could be filled. So yeah, just not going into a situation thinking that you're a disadvantage, seeing yourself at an advantage. Because for me, I mean, I have my pilot's license. Some of you guys know that. So the first class, I was 16 years old, the first class that I was in where I was the only girl. And ever since then, for some reason, I like things that males generally like. I like economics, I like technology and airplanes. And those are just, I've always been in situations. Like earlier today, I did a gold versus Bitcoin debate. And I was the only girl in a panel of 9 people, and they were all older white males, you know, the typical thing. But I mean, I feel like I did the best on that panel. So it really, like, coming into situations thinking you're a disadvantage is actually what puts you at the disadvantage. Know that as a woman in these industries, for one, right now it's the hot thing to support a minority. And for two, you have an advantage. Like in the world of aviation, I used to work in aircraft leasing. So it was buying, selling, trading commercial airplanes. And what I would do is, like, I mean, there would be people that I would talk to and they would tell me, like, I've definitely seen you around before. And I'm like, well, you look like everybody else in this room, you know, not to be mean, but just saying, like, there are advantages, and use them, and don't feel bad about using them, because people I mean, put forward your best assets. You can't be ashamed of what you were given, you know, and you can't be ashamed of how you think and what you think. And that's what I love about technology too, is it really levels the playing field. So if you do want to be a founder, or if you want to be a stay-at-home mom as a woman, like, just don't let the idea live in your head that people are looking down on you because you're a woman, because most likely the person that you think is looking down on you looks down on everybody.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. I come from a tech background, so I deal a lot with men. There's not too many women in tech in my industry for, like, real estate software. So one thing that I learned that really helped was not being apologetic. So never saying sorry. Just never say those words. And I see it a lot with women. It's just natural. It comes out, everything. They are constantly saying sorry, even when it's shouldn't be a word. It's an offer filler that should just be removed from every woman's language. Just don't say sorry. But yeah, completely agree.
No, absolutely. I think that's going to help encourage more women in tech as well. You know, this is not something that it's gender neutral. It's everybody can do it. And pitch night is a great way to practice and get yourself involved. That being said, I want to talk a little bit to Pedro and ask him a little bit about the last pitch competition in Miami that you hosted at WeWork Labs.
Hey, Ricardo.
Okay. Yeah. We host. So actually, the last pitch night we did, we actually pitched. It was a lot of fun because we pitched to University of Miami students, and it was a program with a group from University of Miami called Tamid, and it's a group of MBA students in the University of Miami that was basically offering to do their summer course as a consulting for one of our startups, and we had our startups pitch them to see which one they would choose. So it's a lot of fun because usually, the students are pitching to company owners and older people. In this case, it was a bunch of older founders pitching to students, and it turned the tides a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. And I think one of the things it really pointed out, really whoever you're pitching to, is that when, somebody said, I think James mentioned, people spend so much time on their product, but most investors are going to know that a product is going to change over the course of a business. So it really is a lot more beneficial to focus on you, because investors choose who they want to work with before they necessarily choose what project they want to work on. And it wasn't anywhere else as clear as we saw it here, because you're pitching to these students who do know business. They're obviously the MBA students, they know what they're doing, but it was very clear, the personalities that come through during a pitch contribute a lot to how somebody selects the winner of that pitch night, because ideas are a dime a dozen. Products are going to get pivoted, but if you really feel like the person that's starting that company, who's doing that pitch, has the tenacity and the patience and the intelligence to lead that company through whatever might come about, then that's generally how you're going to win over an investor.
No, that's amazing. Actually, on that note, what do you think about the latest competition, like the SuperCon? What was your opinion?
I think anybody who's pushing forward in the Miami ecosystem is appreciated. Obviously, I mean, I think all the awareness that we can create for our founders is great. But obviously, trying to run a competition like that during this time is a little bit unprecedented. So I think they did everything they could to make it come off well. And at the end of the day, it was good. But it's tough. I props to anyone who's trying to make something happen now and who's not canceling. I think that's great, and I think we're figuring it out. And so respect to anybody who's trying.
That's the sound advice. I think everybody here has the same sentiments about what it is to be in a pitch night. I just want to quickly remind our audience, if you have any question, you're welcome to put in the chat group, and we'll go ahead and answer them now if you like. Now that James is back, just one quick question for you. Not to put you on the spot like that, but in terms of in pitch nights, what would be like one of the biggest value of doing a pitch night with you as opposed to like the other places?
Sure. So I guess my bias is that, one, I've been running these for a while now, so I've really figured out the model and how to deliver as much value to the participants as I possibly can. So as I said earlier, with the people who are presenting, we bring in a series of judges, and usually they're pretty high level. They've built companies to a high level themselves. Or are professional investors currently. So really getting that exposure early on is very helpful. And then we also give you a good amount of resources to help guide you through the process if you're new to it. And then also we offer a very community-based approach. So once you're kind of in the network, you'll be added to the newsletter. If you're one of the people who's actually pitched, then we consider you an alumni, and you'll always be considered for further opportunities. So, for example, one of the companies who pitched in New York, this girl was doing a gym streaming service, and she pitched back in, I want to say it was
like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I want to say it was like January or February, and she was doing pretty well. And then COVID happened and demand picked up. So she was, she had asked me right afterwards, like, hey, if you know anybody, we have an open round. We're doing a seed round for about 600K. And so, demand picked up. All of a sudden, anything streaming was hot. So I sent her deck around to my network. And sure enough, she got a whole bunch of hits for interest. And she ended up closing $1.1 million. So just little things like that. Really, we really just kind of harp on the fact that it's easier to accomplish big things together, and we use our network to really just be a supportive community for whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Not everybody's looking for money. We've had some of our alumni find co-founders and take their business to the next level. They were kind of going at it alone and having mild success, and then they found the right person, and were able to grow it to multiples of where they were at before. So we have lots of different examples, but the bottom line is just being a part of a community that's focused and provides value is just very important, whether it's something like WeWork Labs, like Founder Institute, like the Pitch Night community, or like the Blockchain Center. So we're all community builders at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's definitely important to note that. Go ahead, Roxy.
No, I was going to say it's really important too that what we do is we actually introduce people into co-working, so we're not agnostic as to where we do these pitch events. We try to do them in different co-working spaces or different incubator spaces. So this actually allows people who are looking for spaces, so startup entrepreneurs, like, well, where should I work out of? What community should I work out of? They're going to find out about these co-working spaces. So someone like Erica right now at the Bitcoin Center it's a co-working space as well that's, you know, catered to.
We were a co-working space.
No,
then we
you guys
shut
aren't
down.
anymore.
Well, I mean, we are technically still a co-working space, but
Yeah.
you can't let people in.
We did a pitch night at your
And we
space
did a
when
pitch
you
night
were
at
a
your
co-working
space when you were
Yeah.
a co-working space. It's really important because co-working spaces actually have resources for startups, and a lot of people aren't like plugging into those co-working spaces. So it's really important.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say too, is like we're not in Miami, the pool is so small that I sometimes I get frustrated when people think that we're, you know, other people are trying to steal other people's talent. And in reality, it's like we're all working together. Like you guys have come to the center, been to events at the center, hosted events at the center before. We've been at panels at different like CIC, WeWork Labs. Pedro, you're gonna have to invite me. I haven't been there yet. But definitely like it's an effort to build the city together.
Yep, absolutely. No, this is all community based. So this is an open question. So when is the next pitch night for you guys?
Are you addressing it to Pedro or to us?
For you guys, the Founder Institute, if you have a tentative plan, or how do you like people to get involved?
Yeah, so we're actually going to do separate ones. So FI Founder Institute is actually running a stream of pitch nights. So if you go on their website, they're going to have a constantly running ones. It looks like they do one almost every day, and they're catered to whether it's a female entrepreneur space or health tech. So it's just a matter of going on and seeing what's streaming, because they do cater to every city. So you can hop on at 2 a.m. and be on a pitch night for something that was supposed to be for Cairo, as an example. So just go on that website. James and I are planning to do a pitch night virtually. And that's something that we're going to try to do later in the month. We're just going to take a knack at it and see how that works out.
Well, the Blockchain Center is always welcome. You know, we're all about unifying the city. We love to have everybody on board if you have pitch nights, to build a software or tech ecosystem. And on that note, what kind of prizes can one expect in these events?
Well, at the end, typically for us, everyone leaves at prices. They're typically things like 6 months free or a year free to like SEO products, or to lawyer credits so you can speak to an attorney. Things like a HubSpot accelerator will go to the winner, so they'll get admittance to that program. Am I missing any other stuff that you give at the end?
I mean, we have a handful of them. I'm not going to run through the list, but it's all service based from our partners and our sponsors. So credits to different platforms, or like she said, a few months free. And then sometimes, depending on where we host them, they'll get some, free time at the space, maybe a week, a month, day pass, whatever. So it really depends, but yeah, baseline is credits to pretty much standard is credits to different service providers that are of value, like she said, like HubSpot, Seed Lawyers, Mailjet, accounting software, things like that. All things that everybody needs. So help reduce the bills for the early stage guys.
No, that's quite amazing. That's amazing resources for those of you who are interested in pitch nights. There you are. You have a plethora of different options. I just want to curious, Pedro, can you tell me what is WeWork is doing? Do you know any other pitch nights events that's happening?
Yeah, I think we've been focused more on connecting people to what's going on already. So we've been able to send people to the pitch nights with FI and collaborate with you guys. In addition, while it's not necessarily a pitch night, it's the 1 million cups. We work with them, and so it's really about, for us, I think it's we've got this community, and it's about connecting them to the resources that already exist more so than just duplicating things. Because James does a great pitch night. Erica, I've been to the Bitcoin Center for FI, and also for some other events everybody's putting on really good events, and I feel like it's we could do more events, but for the most part, I'd rather just get everybody connected. 1 million cups, Win Lab. You've got the CIC and Venture Cafe that are always doing really amazing things. I was really excited for Pitch Night MIA. Like there's so much going on already that for us, it's more focusing on connecting. I mean, when we have events, you know, we do them occasionally, but it's usually more like internal, you know, we'll do like a stand up or we'll do something like that. We also do through WeWork have like a pitch night in California where you apply to pitch in the Bay Area. But generally locally, there's so much going on here anyway. I'd rather just connect our founders to great people like who we have on this panel and keep that ecosystem flowing.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's like, again, these are all amazing resources that one could use to get you in front of those investors. Pitch Nights is there for competition, for advisements. As you heard, there's a lot of opportunity to get prices, as well as get the tools and the help that one needs to really be very successful. This is all about community. Erica, tell me a little bit more about your experience. Have you ever done a pitch night yourself, and just kind of walk me through that?
So we've actually not done an individual pitch night here for blockchain projects. We're working on something with Republic to where, you know, you guys probably already know this, but one of the big problems in Miami is just the access to talent. You know, we really can't compete with the salaries of San Francisco and the salaries of New York. And really what you need, especially in the tech space, is developers, people that speak the language of computers. So, I mean, in the future, we would like to do pitch nights where we get some of these blockchain companies in Latin America and hook them up with the wealth that's here, that's interested in investing overseas, but maybe it's a little too complicated for them. I was actually in the works with RSK Rootstock, if you guys know who they are. They're smart contracts on top of Bitcoin, and Republic, and they were really interested in it, but then everything kind of got shut down. International travel is not the same. RSK was actually going to sponsor some companies to come up here because the vision is that instead of trying to pull talent from the north, let's get it from the south, right? Because it's less expensive. It still will make us a tech hub, and we can improve the quality of lives for people elsewhere. In terms of pitch nights, these guys, James and Roxy, held a really good pitch night at our space. We do have hackathons, so not necessarily pitching a company, but we do host hackathons where people will win Bitcoin for coding on Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, or BSV. And then we're starting actually a new hackathon. We're doing them online, virtual hackathons. People will be able to win money. But yeah, pitch nights, we're a community space, and we love tech companies to come in and, you know, have their events here.
Yeah.
But we haven't hosted one individually. We let the professionals handle that.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, I know this was, I don't think I spoke to you, Erica, about it, but I know I spoke with Scarlett and Jorge, and I believe Silvio about it, about doing a blockchain geared one with you guys, and then everything just kind of, you know, went away, because we will do specialty ones. You know, we've done a health tech one, I've done a green tech one before, so I've been wanting to do a blockchain one for a while now, and it was on the list of things to do. But you know, now the live events is just taking a backseat for now while we work on other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we actually initially we kind of planned it to be a pitch night for companies, but we could do we could absolutely do a live stream pitch night in the future. Yeah. Cool.
So that being said, so what can we do to bring more investor into these events? This is a question for anybody.
So to bring more investors into the events, well, the ones who, the professional investors, they know what these are, right? They like these events generally. They're pretty well received. So, you know, we try to just work with them as much as possible, work around their busy schedules. But in terms of bringing, I guess, new money into the scene, right? I think these are kind of great ways to educate because they're fun. So if there are, you know, individuals that you know who are wealthy individuals, maybe in, you know, since we're talking Miami terms, let's say real estate, everybody here's into real estate. They don't know the asset class of startups very well. So going to a networking event and socializing for an hour and seeing, you know, quote unquote, a show of some of these cool and interesting ideas and the founders do their thing. It's a great way to kind of create new early stage startup advocates. and help people get more familiar and more comfortable with the asset class, because I think that's the big part of the problem for I think ecosystems like the Miami one, right? It's not that there's a lack of money here. It's a lack of money in the early stage startup space, because it's such a unique asset class that, ties up your money for such a long period of time. And it doesn't work like, the stock market or a real estate investment where, you can trade it easily, or you'll start seeing payments and return on investment early. There is a learning curve and a bit of hesitation for people who aren't familiar with it. So these types of events are great ways to kind of start the conversation with potential, angel investors. We've actually had that. Some of the ones in New York, I know companies who have pitched have used people that they were trying to bring on board as angel investors. They brought them to the events, let them see their pitch and the whole dynamic of it, and it kind of warmed them up to it. And I know some people have told me that they've closed some small angel checks doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been noticing in the audience, there's a lot of investors that are coming from the Valley. They're coming from New York. They're here. They're actually scoping out the ecosystem, and they're going to the events. They're literally at every single event. So even if you're a startup who's not participating, just sitting in the audience, you might have the chance to meet those investors. So they are coming here to just scope out the talent. Just as quickly as they come in, they just quickly go back out. So yeah, we've been noticing that a lot. They're not necessarily our judges, they're our audience members.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blockchain center. Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to chime in and just say, I think also like making sure that the startups are prepared to pitch, because I have seen some where there's some investors there that I know have money, and maybe the startup was just thinking this was going to be like a chance to practice, as opposed to like having everything ready and like having a pitch deck that somebody had looked at before. I highly recommend for anyone who's looking to do a pitch night, like show that pitch deck to 10 people that know the space and take that feedback, because it's much better to deal with that privately and then fix your pitch and fix your pitch deck than being up on stage and getting questions that maybe should have been answered already in the deck, or just questions that you're not prepared for. Because I think that it turns off, to give the investors credit as well. I think a lot of times they want to do these things, but they're maybe jaded because they've been to pitch nights and the people who were pitching just weren't prepared. So I think giving startup founders, a little bit of a bar that it's like, hey, this isn't ready. You're not ready to pitch yet. Let's work through this. And setting that expectation is going to create better experiences that then the investors that do go are going to tell their friends who are also angel investors and say, hey, look, I went to this pitch night. It was held by this organization. You have to go to the next one because everyone was really good. The word does spread like that. So I think startups do need to be prepared and kind of level set a little more than sometimes they are.
Yeah. And Erica, Pedro, you guys are much longer time entrepreneurs than we are. So, in my short time, I've found, just the ones who are the most ready are the ones who make it, right? It's just being ready for everything always is probably one of the more key components to being a founder. It's persistence and preparedness. So that being said, while our events are safe spaces, like I said, you got to be ready. We do filter. Like I said, we only usually exhibit 4 companies every month. So we do pick the ones who are ready. They have their deck. It looks professional. They can talk about their product. They know who their audience is. They can speak relatively well and present themselves relatively well. And again, that takes if you're not naturally good at that, if you haven't been doing that in your previous roles, then you just got to put in some practice. But it's a very easy skill to learn. It just takes the time.
And you're right when we say that it's. Sorry, go ahead, Roxy.
I was going to say, and something that just we don't do vetting for age, so we have been shocked where we've had people as young as 15 who are working on VR, AR, and we didn't know. Looking at their deck, we thought this was someone with like 30, 35 years of experience. when someone else might apply, they might be like, you know what, you're too young, you can't compete, or you can't. So we have that kind of openness as well, where we just allow startups based on talent and not other factors. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what you guys were saying too about personality being a huge driver, there are a million ideas out there, right? And sometimes it's so funny because people will make a patent on their idea, and it's like, if you don't execute, then it doesn't really matter. Your idea is nothing. So it really, it's the individuals, it's your team. And if you're maybe not that person that's so strong of a speaker, have someone on your team that is, which is why girls help. Just saying, women, ladies.
Yeah, a lot of time the women are the best presenters. I've found that a lot of women actually win my events, even though New York is more probably 60-40, Miami's probably more 80-20. But it's a learnable skill for men, women, kids, adults. Like Roxy said, we've had as young as 15, probably up to, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s maybe. So entrepreneurship's for everybody, and you got to have some fun with it. And we as much as there is opportunity on the table, you got to have fun with it. You got to enjoy it. We try to make our events fun and enjoyable for everybody.
So we're about to wrap up a little bit. I encourage anybody who's watching, if you have last minute questions, we're going to go ahead and answer them right now. I have one question from the audience. Should we create like a pitch night for a solution for enterprise rather than startups to investors?
Can you repeat the question?
The question from the audience is, should we create a pitch night for solution for enterprises rather for startups or investors? I think they're coming from like, can enterprise be part of the pitch night solution?
Yeah, I mean,
I can jump in first. I know that in New York, it is something that Labs does as well. So here, for example, I mean, I wouldn't suggest this month, but for example, we could have like people from Royal Caribbean and Carnival that come in and they're the judges. And ideally, you pick startups that are focused on solutions that would help that industry. That tends to work pretty well in New York. We haven't tried it here in Miami yet. I mean, Labs here has only been around for about 6 months, but it is something that we're looking at because it is actually a really valid way to get startups in front of the people that they would be selling to ultimately, and the feedback is generally really, really good.
FI is actually doing that with COVID right now. So they actually do ones catered specifically to figure out how to solve the issues with COVID. So they're constantly running sort of these programmings for that and allowing companies to participate and kind of bring their solutions.
And they did the NASA one, like you said.
The NASA one, as well.
No, that's truly amazing. So I'm going to be wrapping up a little bit. So I want to, first of all, thank the audience for watching the special program about pitch nights. We're going to start here at the Blockchain Center. We're going to start having pitch nights every Thursday of the last month on different topics. We're going to specifically for blockchain. So if you're interested in becoming or be part of the pitch nights, please reach out to the blockchaincenters.com so you can be part of this and learn and practice before presenting at a pitch night event. So hopefully with everybody here, I'd like to thank Erica, Roxy, James, and Pedro, who have made this amazing advice for people who are getting practicing how to get into doing pitch nights here in South Florida, building the community. We like to thank everybody as well. So if anybody here has one final comment.
Let's see. We love Miami, guys. That's all I got to say. Buy Bitcoin, by the way. You got to hedge your assets. The Federal Reserve is printing $150 billion a day. This is not a joke. It's a good investment to go into. If you're interested, you don't have to buy full Bitcoin. It brings stock market wealth creation methods to average people. I'll send you a link and I'll send you some Bitcoin if you would like to own some in your portfolio. It is the best performing asset class in 2000. 19 so far, way better than oil.
Don't you have a coin, Erica? I know you have an Erica coin.
No, I don't.
Well, you have to start.
Bitcoin is my coin.
You got to start one.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, I have one last question from the audience, and they're asking, how can I support the pitch nights?
You could send me some money. I'm just kidding.
Right.
Right,
Sponsorship
sponsor
dollars.
Yeah, just reach out, express your level of interest, and whether that's a collaboration or participation or hosting one if you're a space owner. Yeah, whatever you would find some value, we want to hear from you. So yeah,
I think it's Pitch Night NYC or pitchnight.co now.
Yeah, if you want to send, I guess James at 305 works is probably the best way to get. James at 305works.com. I'll drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can just reach out directly. And yeah, Scarlett, feel free to share all of our contact info with the participants.
Yes, thank you so much again. So if you want to learn more, we're going to be posting all the content center on YouTube and also in our social media channel at blockchaincenter.com. So I'd like to thank everybody for participating in tonight's special event on Pitch Nights. And I hope you have everybody a wonderful time. My name is Scarlett Arana, and I'm here, one of the advisors for the Blockchain Center. And we hope to see you next time, next Thursday, Pitch Nights. The last month.
All right. Thanks, Scarlett.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.